and I will be jumping into studio soon. So Kareem, I soon be there. Right. But now it's our opportunity, or my opportunity, to talk about sports and to get you up to date on what exactly is happening in the world of sports. I think one of the big things happening today, in particular, is the finals of the Jamaica Women's Premier League. That's happening today at Jamaica College, and I'll tell you when. Well, I'll tell you what time, because I know they have the third place playoff, and then we have the first place playoffs after that. Then, of course, we know the West Indies. They were in action earlier this week against Pakistan, and of course, the woes continue. Right. We're just like, okay, as it relates to this team, right? Yeah, man, definitely. But yeah, you can join us on Facebook and on YouTube at Love 101 FM Jamaica. And also you can download the app. Yes, the Love 101 FM app. It's in the App Store at Love 101 FM Jamaica, and also in the Google Play Store. So, and you can listen to Sports Talk or any of your other favorite shows right here on the family station. You can listen to them as a podcast. So if you want to, go back to any other episodes, any of your shows, any other features, feel free to download the app. And of course, you can always, join us on all the FM bands 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Yeah, that's where we are. 101.13579 and 9. That's where we are. All right. And of course, we know that we still have some track and field action happening. We had some of our athletes participating on the European circuit. Of course, everybody now is in Europe because they're looking to make the transition over to Tokyo. We also have some athletes that will be participating in the NACAC championships. Some people still chasing after times. We still don't have the qualification for or 4x4 women and or mixed relay. And time is off. Time is now of the essence, if you ask me. And I'm sure we'll be looking to see, the authorities will be looking to see how we can get the qualifying standards for those particular events. Of course, just in case, as a reminder, the World Championships will be in Tokyo. So Tokyo 2025, that's what it is. And it will be from Saturday, September 13 until Sunday, September 21. And just as we get run about maybe next week, we will start a World Championship feature where we'll be talking about past World Championships, and we'll also be featuring some of our athletes and the work or the medals they would have won in championships. So you wanna stay tuned for that special feature. Yeah. So again, lots happening, and I'm here to keep you up to date as to what is happening. Let's start off with football. So as I said, the Jamaica Women's Premier League, the finals, they are on today at the the finals are on today at Jamaica College. I want to give you the results of the second leg. That would have been the second leg semifinals that took place last week. So we'll go back to those results and then we'll tell you who is in the finals. All right. So last week, the second leg of the first semifinal. So it was Arnett Gardens versus Cavalier. That ended in a 0-0 draw. And of course, Cavalier advanced to the finals with a 4-0 aggregate win, having won the first leg of the semifinals 4-0. Then it was Fraser's Whip 2 and Los Perfectos 1. And of course, Fraser's Whip, they secure their spot in the finals with a 7-1 aggregate win over Los Perfectos. And so the third place playoff now will be today at Jamaica College. That kicks off at 4 p.m. And that will be between Arnett Gardens and Los Perfectos. So that's the third place playoff in the Jamaica Women's Premier League happening today at Jamaica College. And then we will have the final. So the big show, the big finals which will be between Fraser's Whip and Cavaliers. That will happen at 7 p.m. at Jamaica College. So you want, if you get a chance to swing by Jamaica College, these two games should be very interesting. Third place playoff, I think Arnett Gardens and Los Perfectas, they've really kind of shown the same type of way how they play. They play very similar football, and that match should be very, very, very interesting. A very close match. I think it might even go down to extra time and penalties in that third place playoff. Then when you get to the finals, it is the defending champions, Fraser's Whip against Cavalier FC. I think, and I would have said this over and over and over on this show, Fraser's Whip, they are head and shoulders above the rest of the teams in the competition. However, this is the finals, and I don't think that Cavalier is just going to lie down and take the beating from Fraser's Whip. I think that Cavalier will have a good showing for themselves, and so I'm expecting Cavalier to give us a good show. I mean, of course, if you're not able to join the actual crowd at Jamaica College today, the game will be live on the Jamaica Women's Premier League YouTube page as well as PBCJ. And just let's just talk. The admission, it's adults $1,000 and children under 12, it's $300. Of course, as I said, it's a big finals, and I remember, I can't believe the season has ended so quickly, because I remember months ago being at the launch of the Jamaica Women's Premier League, and I can't believe that today's the finals already there. Like that's just crazy, crazy, crazy to me. But as I said, I'm looking forward to a very, very, very interesting finals. I think it's gonna be good competition. I think Fraser's, they know they have the edge. I mean, I think they would have retained most of their players from last year, and so they know what it is to be in a finals. However, Cavalier, they've played good football this season, and I'm hoping that they will be able to find something in the finals to make the finals competitive, so that it's not a one side show, because we don't really we don't like when it's necessarily a one side show in any sport at all, especially in football. So, it's been a good season, and next week we'll definitely hear from the organizers as to how the season actually went and what are the improvements and so on. So we'll catch up. We'll catch up with them on next week's show. So you want to stay tuned for that as well. Yeah. So that will be as it relates to this. So the Jamaica Women's Premier League, just to say again, the Jamaica Women's Premier League final, today's the final day of competition in the Jamaica Women's Premier League. Third place playoffs at 4 o'clock between Arnett Gardens and Los Perfectas, and the grand finals is at 7 o'clock between Cavalier and Fraser's Whip, the defending champions, Fraser's Whip, who will be going to, of course, defend their title. All right. Also, earlier this week we had sticking with football, right? We had some preseason games. Of course, I can't talk about preseason games and not talk about my side and the work that my side would have done, or how my side would have performed yesterday. Of course, Chelsea defeated Bayern Leverkusen in what is called a club friendly. So, this is preseason heading up into the season. And it's, now people are saying, we're going to take Chelsea serious. I'm not listening to them. You know why? Because last year, I remember when Chelsea was spending all this money buying all these footballers, we were like, oh, Chelsea's not going to come anything. Oh, they just have a washed up team. They just spend all this money. They're just trying to do this. They're just trying to do that. And we ended up winning the Europa Conference League, which I think everybody anticipated that we would win, but also we end up winning the Club World Cup Championships. I don't think anybody saw that. I don't think anybody saw that the finals was gonna go the way it went. My thing is, I'm just looking and seeing exactly what will happen for the rest of the season for the club. And I'm sure everybody's looking to see what will happen for their club, or the transfers, or these players. I mean, Chelsea's selling players left, right, and center. There are so many players being transferred. We saw where West Ham is not renewing the contract of Mikel Antonio, and I've seen feedback on that. I personally think that at the end of the day, football is a business. And yes, Mikel Antonio would have met in an accident, and the club would have done all they could for, I think, Mikel Antonio. But I mean, what, Mikel Antonio is what, in his late 30s? At this point, I think the club has to make a business decision. I don't think any of these decisions that are made with for against players, with or for against players, are done because our club doesn't like the player, or they feel like the relationship would have fallen apart. No, I mean, we see it happen in all the other sports. We see athletes leave coaches. We see athletes, basketballers being touted as the best in a team, and the team trading that. So football is just one of those things. Maybe West Ham thought that in Mikel Antonio wouldn't fit in the team anymore, and so they're like, okay, well, we'll have to make a decision. And unfortunately, the decision was to end this contract. And it's puts, I think, Mikel Antonio in a very precarious position, because he is really just coming back to some sort of fitness. So is he gonna like play for a championship team now, or what exactly is gonna happen? I mean, obviously I think he's coming towards the end of, I wouldn't say end of his career, but I do think that he doesn't have a lot of football time or playing time left. I'm not even sure if he will even make it towards like the World Cup, maybe representing Jamaica. Like, I don't know that will happen. And sometimes we just have to make hard decisions. As I come back to say, football, sports is a business. And when the organization sits down into that boardroom, the feelings and the sentiments go out the door. It is what is best for our business. And I think sometimes we kind of forget that, because as the fans, or as journalists, we're on this side and we're like, yeah, but it can be sentimental, or oh, this person would have done so much for the club, or oh, they were there for him, so they should continue the contract to ensure. But then how much can they really get? Because they'll be spending all of this money. How much return on investment can they continue to get from a player like Mikel Antonio? So I just think that's just one of the decision, or one of the things that made the decision of West Ham not renewing that contract. But yeah, when we come back, we're on our first break. When we come back, we're gonna continue talking about some conversations happening in the sporting world. We'll be right back.
Recycling partners of Jamaica. Yeah, we got to make a change, and we have to leave no can't wait for later. We put plastic in its place, and we all can agree that will be safer than in the gullies and in the drains. Recycling partners of Jamaica. We put plastic in its place. Well, I say no matter about your class or status or title, got to be responsible and recycle. Yes, we have to about plastic bottle board. You have to make sure say that the right title. So look for the triangle with the one or two. Well, I don't matter could I yellow or blue. You have to just make sure them empty, collect them empty. Recycling revenue. So listen up, Jamaica. I'm saying it's time to make a change. Recycling partners of Jamaica. We put plastic in its place, and we all can agree that will be safer than in the gullies in every veins. Recycling partners of Jamaica. We put plastic in its place.
Forget ordinary, think Liquimolly. Get a 15% discount on all Liquimolly oils and additives from April 25th to July 30th at all Burt's Auto Parts locations. Buy 4 or more Liquimolly engine oils or 4 transmission oils, you get a free LM40 all-purpose cleaner. But hurry up, the offer runs while stocks last and conditions apply. Forget ordinary, think Liquimolly, and remember, it hurts if you don't check Burt's.
The following is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
We estimate that there are about 20 to 25,000 who are unemployed because they do not have any skill. They are a loss to our economy. And we have tasked hard to find these 25,000. Go out into the communities, put on your training fairs, have specific agents out there doing your reconnaissance and surveillance and finding these youngsters. Get them into your training program. Offer them stipends and bus fare and lunch money. But more than that, what they need mentoring. Because oftentimes they simply do not know about the opportunities that exist. They exist on the periphery of the system and they are skeptical of the system and they don't believe that the system is set up for them.
Be smart, choose hard.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. on Love 101, you're invited to listen to The Revival of Truth with Bishop Augustine Odie. There is life beyond the surface, life that is divine, life that is eternal, and you can hear the truth of God's Word and go deeper in purpose. Revival of Truth with Bishop Augustine Odie, Sundays 2:30 to 3 p.m. on the family station, Love 101.
All right, welcome back to Sports Talk right here on the family station, Love 101 FM. All right, so we're still on football. We're still very much on football. Some exciting news happened as it relates to Jamaica's aim to get to the World Cup 2026, and of course the World Cup will be held in USA, Canada, and Mexico. And just to say, this is the perfect opportunity for Jamaica to get to the World Cup. And if we don't, then you guys know how I feel about that. Lockdown everything football. But regardless of that, we saw where Sunshine Snacks forges a partnership with the JFF ahead of the World Cup qualifiers. Now, Sunshine Snacks would have come on as another sponsor. Early on this season, I know we had St. Mary's and JFF had St. Mary's and Stewart's Auto. There's another one, but Sunshine Snacks has come on as a partner. Of course, as they speak about reinforcing their commitment to national pride through sponsorship. Now, the JFF president, Michael Ricketts, he said that the campaign, so the 2026 World Cup campaign, will cost approximately $3 million US dollars, which is about 478 million Jamaican dollars, right? So, which is interesting, right? So, because if you know anything about Sunshine Snacks, then you know that Sunshine Snacks base. So when you talk about Sunshine Snacks, we know that it's a Trinidad brand. So I found it very interesting that Sunshine Snacks Jamaica has decided to partner with the Reggae Boys. Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there, not to put it out there to cause any problems. And of course, in his reply, the JFF interim general secretary Roy Simpson, he spoke about how the partnership is going to be reflecting growing confidence in the national program and reinforces football for the people's mission. he said that the Sunshine Stars partnership will bring the game closer to every Jamaican and to push forward with the World Cup qualification. And of course, he thanked the Reggae Boys. Well, he thanked them for backing the Reggae Boys and the nation, right? And then we also heard from at that signing partnership. We also heard from JFF Ambassador Tannelie Perkins, and she spoke about how Sunshine Star continue to show up for Jamaican football. Yes, because they are a big sponsor. Sunshine Sack is a big sponsor of the Jamaica Premier League. So to see them now backing the Reggae Boys, she spoke about it being good to have them on board, and the budget for the qualification is significant, and so this will help them. Right? So it was good to see, as I said, good to see Sunshine Snacks coming on, backing the Reggae Boys, as they will begin or continue the bid to the World Cup, but begin the final qualification. Of course, the first game in the final round comes up in just a month. Yes, just a month, in September 9th. On September 9th, we begin our final round of qualification for the World Cup. So this partnership, it will help, and I'm hoping that other corporate sponsors will come and back the Reggae Boys so that we cannot say, oh, it's because we didn't have the funds or we didn't have the right support or da, 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 da. We are not giving them any excuse not to qualify for the World Cup in 2026. Speaking about Reggae Boys, we have another set of Reggae Boys who have been doing tremendous in their competition, and that is the under 15. They're participating in the League B CONCACAF under 15 championships, and they're actually in the finals today. They're actually in the finals that will kick off today, 3 p.m. Jamaica time. And these under 15 youngsters, have been making us really, 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 really proud in this competition, right? So I want to go back to when, all right, so let's go back to some of the results, right? Jamaica, they played their first match where they defeated, all right, let me just go back, right? So they defeated Aruba 4-0 with goals coming from Corlando Morris, Kelvin Brown, and Kyle Hussey, right? And then on August 4, they defeated Belize 2-0. On August 5, they defeated Aruba 4-0. And then they would have played Curacao, which they won 1-0. They won 1-0 against Curacao, goal coming from Kelvin Brown, and they would have qualified for having won against Curacao, they would have qualified for the semifinals of the competition, where they would have played Trinidad and Tobago. In the Trinidad and Tobago match, they would have defeated Trinidad 6-2, with goals scoring coming from Kenrick Brown in the 8th minute, Samuel Taylor in the 10th minute, Kelvin Brown in the 35th minute and 54th minute, Davian Clark in the 50th minute, and Corlando Morris in the 70th minute. So going back through the results now, would have seen Jamaica defeated Belize 2-0, then they defeated Aruba 4-0, then they defeated Curacao 1-0, and Trinidad and Tobago 6-2 to get to the finals of the under 15 competition. Of course, if you'd like to see the game, and I said that game kicks off at 3 p.m. It will be, if you type in 2025 CONCACAF Boys Under 15 Championships, you'll be able to see that game. Yeah, yes. And or under 15, as I said, they've been doing very well in this competition. These are under 15, so it means that these are just first form, second formers representing our country very well and looking to win the league we title in the under 15 CONCACAF competition, which would just be tremendous for them. I know most of them, I maybe only a few be doing Manning Cup, but I'm sure most of them will be looking to play in Pepsi or Colt for their schools. So this is a very good way in terms of our under 15 team, and I'm hoping as best as possible that, because this is where it starts, hoping as best as possible that we're able to keep this team together and to continue to build their skills. They own their skills towards, advancing their football careers. Also happening as well is the Yardi Sports competition that is happening. I'm going to give you the information on that, but that is pre-season for Manning Cup. I know we're all excited when schoolboy football comes on. So yes, but also happening, before I give you on the Yardi, also happening is the Georges Cup that will take place today and tomorrow. The Georges Cup will be with Campen College, Morant Bay High, Georges, and Cornwall College. Those are the 4 teams that are in that competition, the Georges Cup, and that's of course taking place at Georges. So if you want to see some pre-season football, then you can head down to St. George's College because some pre-season football is happening there, as well as the Yardi Sports Cup. That's also happening. I just want to give you the right. So the Yardi Sports or Challenge Cup 2025. The quarterfinals are actually today. So quarterfinals will see right at 1 o'clock. So that game would have already started. 28 minutes now. Manchester playing Old Harbour. In match 2, you'll see St. Catherine playing Papine. And in match 3, big match, very big match at 3:30, it's Kingston College versus Calabar. And of course, just, the standings going into the quarterfinals, KC, they would have won 3 from 3. Manchester, so they're on 9 points at the top of the standings, or the top of their group in Group A. Manchester, they're second in that group, 1-1, draw 1, lost 1. They're on 4 points. In third place in that group is Papine, same, identical as Manchester. They won 1, they drew 1, they lost 1. And York Castle, they played 3 games and they didn't win any. All right, over in Group B now, you had Dintil, St. Catherine, Old Harbour, and Calabar. Dintil, they won 2, drew 1. They're on 6 points. St. Catherine, they won 1, drew 2, so they're on 5 points. Old Harbour, 1-1, drew 1, lost 1. And Calabar, they drew 1 and lost 2. Right. So as I said, the Challenge Cup is actually taking place at the UA Mona Bowl. So you see, you have options. You have options to watch football today, whether or not you're going to decide to watch schoolboy football. And you can leave schoolboy football at UA Mona Bowl or at Winchester Park. And then later on, can pass by Jamaica College to see the Jamaica Women's Premier League. But we're on our second break, right here on Sports Talk. When we come back, we're going to talk about some track and field. We'll be right back right here on the family station of 101 FM.
We're making the markets better for you. In the last financial year, more than $100 million was spent on repairs for Sentence Bay, Ocho Rios, Santa Cruz, and the Yalas markets. We completed phase 1 of the new Buff Bay market, and the final phase will be completed before the end of this year. Alexandria and the Spalding markets are set for rehabilitation in this financial year. The Ministry of Local Government and Community Development is working to modernize our markets, making them more convenient for doing business. Local government is working for you.
Turn the flame up and take you to 100.
This summer, we're turning up the love across Jamaica. It's the Double the Love Summer Tour with Love 101.
Everything I double.
Join us in 5 parishes for live broadcast of the Gospel Train and Youth Connection, plus community cook-offs, family sports, games, and good vibes from Portmore to St. Thomas, Manchester, Mobile, and Kingston.
I'm about to have a good day.
We're spreading faith, fun, and fellowship island-wide. And it all ends with a big back-to-school grand finale in Kingston. The Double the Love Summer Tour, powered by Love 101, the family station. Don't you miss it.
God made the universe, knows me by my name, so it's a good day. Baby in my arms, walking through the neighborhood.
This Tuesday, August 12 on The Rock, we'll dive deep into the roots of African spirituality, Rastafari, Voodoo to Ashanti. African spirituality spans continents and cultures. But as Christians of African descent, how do we relate to these practices? What are these belief systems really about? Which parts challenge the Bible's teachings and which parts have we misunderstood? Join Kari Heron and Donna Hussey Stewart for a powerful, eye-opening discussion that doesn't shy away from the hard questions. And in our No Time Revelation segment, could Ezekiel 38 and 39 be unfolding right now in the Middle East? What does the Bible say? All this and more on The Rock, Tuesday, August 12, here on the family station, Love 101. This Monday, August 11 on Family Time, join host Audra Williams as she continues the conversation on breastfeeding. From Jamaica to Trinidad, the UK to Pakistan, and everywhere in between. The journey of breastfeeding is shared but never simple. In this powerful episode, we hear directly from mothers who've lived it, the expectations, the pressure, the struggles, and the quiet victories. This is a space for honesty, support, and the stories we don't always hear. Joining the conversation is Professor Maya Clark Kutaya, Thera Edwards, and Michelle Clark. That's Family Time, this Monday, August 11 at 5:30 p.m. on the family station, Love 101.
All right, welcome back to Sports Talk right here on the family station, Love 101 FM. All right, so unless you're under a rock, this topic has been a big topic swirling around, I will say, after the conclusion of the USA track and field outdoor trials for Tokyo 2025. And it is the confrontation, the conflict, the issue that is between Kenny Benderick and Noah Lyles. Now, for those who don't know, let me just give you a little back history, or a little history rather, backstory on what's happening. Allegedly, and I will say allegedly because there's nothing proven as yet, but allegedly, on Twitter, there is a account called TrackSpice. Now, TrackSpice allegedly is being run out of the camp of Kenny Benderick. And TrackSpice would have said some interesting things against some athletes. And when I say interesting, I mean not good things. They're critical of athletes and I think people wanted to find out who is behind this track spice. If they can talk so much or talk so loudly, why not show us who you are? Um, I gather checks was made, and it was said that it's out of Colorado, and I think that's where Kenny trained. So it's out of his camp that there was that all these criticisms of other athletes, including Noah Lyles, was happening. Yeah, so that's like the backstory. Now, at the U.S. Championships in this past weekend, we would have seen the 200 meters. Well, the 200 meters would have happened on the Sunday, and it was a very interesting race. Noah ran 19.63. Kenny Benerick ran 19.67. Don't ask me who else was in the race because that's where the focus was. But what happened after the race is what really became a big thing. Now, after the race, coming through the line, Kenny Benerick, now being beaten by Noah, gave Noah a shove in the back. Noah kind of turned around and be like, why did you shove me? What was that about? What's that for? Type of thing. And then, she is like, you owe me an apology, or there is some apology argument happening. My thing is, and let me say this. One, and I've watched a few other podcasts, and I think a few of us on this side of the fence agree. One, this that happened between Noah and Kenny Benerick is very good for the sport. We need some competition. Track and field sometimes can just be a one-man race dominated by one person. We don't have any characters. We don't have any. It's just like blah, you run, you win the medals, you jump up, okay, it's done. There's no real competition. There's nothing to drive the news. There's nothing to, literally nothing. And I'm sure over the past week, this thing between Kenny Benerick and Noah would have gone so much across the news headlines, bringing so much eyes to track and field. And for me, track and field needs a little bit of this. However, how Kenny went about it, I can't agree with it because I don't know. Like, my thing is, and others have said it as well, the only way to shut up no one else is to beat him. If you do not beat him, you cannot shut him up. Like, that's the only way, the absolute only way to beat him at his game, to beat him at all this talking, all the yapping that he does, is to go on the track and let him see your back, which means that you are ahead of him. That is the absolute only way that you get to shut him up. And you don't get to make excuses. You don't get to say, oh, he has run 5 races and I've run 3. You don't get to make those excuses. If you want to beat him fair and square on the track. And I promise you, he will have to get off his high horse. He will have to be calm. He will have to be like relaxed. All of that. He can't be jumping up and down and when he has lost. No. And we saw that last year in the 200-meter finals, didn't we? When Leslie Tebogo beat him in the 200 meters, we saw that. We saw that he was like out of sorts after that 200 meters. Yes, whether or not he was ill or whatever the case was, you saw that he came right down off his high horse. The only absolute way to shut him up is to do that. And I think Kenny Benerick knows in his head, maybe, that he could possibly beat no one else. He believes he's running faster than him and, going through the runs and all of that. One of my things is that he's also going to be running the 100 meters too. So we will see who is who come September 13th or maybe around the 15th or so. But my thing is, that's the only way to kind of shut up Noah Lyles is to beat him. And if you're not going to beat him, then he's going to be even higher up on his horse. Is Noah Lyles like the best? Like, we know that he's not the best like athlete, We know that he kind of overdoes it sometimes. And truth be told, I think he has somehow calmed down because he wasn't doing all the spring jumping, hand flip things that he at the US trials last week. He certainly wasn't. He certainly wasn't for whatever. And I think he was pretty calm during the championships. And I mean, when he was crossing the line, he kind of looked at Kenny. But I mean, Noah does that all the time. That he didn't do anything outside of the Noah character for you to say, oh, I knew Noah kind of showed up, right? But yeah, that's the only way to kind of just keep him on the quiet is to beat him. And if you're not gonna beat him, and if he's gonna continue to win races, then come on. Like, I don't want to say I don't think while I think whatever happened in between them, because it obviously is something off the track. I don't know somebody, because even the comments that are made after, you have my number, why don't you message me? That type of thing. No, man, that is more than me running 1963 and you running 1967. It's more than that. It's more than that. And I feel like because whether or not he was the person who was allegedly posting as Track Spice, I think that type of level of what happened with Track Spice and how the athletes were spoken about and the criticisms that Track Spice would have made at the athletes, I think at some point Kenny does owe, some sort of apology. Even if it's just apology for his camp. Because the truth is that he probably didn't sit down and write those tweets. But if it's coming out of your camp or allegedly coming out of your camp, I think you also owe the athletes who you would have spoken about. Yeah, I think you owe them an apology. Really. And this banter, as I said, it's good for the competition. It's good for track and field. But you know what it's good for too? It's good for Jamaica. Because nothing is good for me like Americans bantering with each other. Because you know what? These are the same people, same persons who will have to line up and run 4x1s. And if somebody already doesn't like somebody, and we would have seen it in our own camps here in Jamaica, no matter how fast you are, it takes a split second for somebody to be not doing what they're supposed to do, and somebody just gets out, and that's just it for that race. And I think that brings good for the other rest to the teams, including Jamaica. That's just my thoughts. I mean, maybe a little bit overboard about it, but the truth is that Noah's not gonna change how he is. And I said the only way to shut up Noah is to beat him. Other than that, I think Kenny, I don't know. I saw him at Grand Slam and he seemed to be a fairly okay person, a fairly decent person. And I don't want to take that away from him. But could be questionable. If all those tweets, especially the Track Spice account, if all those tweets came out of his camp and he knew about it, and even if he didn't know about it, having known about it, it speaks to me a lot about his character. Yeah, some of the things can't even be repeated. Like if you didn't see the tweets, you just didn't see them, and you just have to move on. Simple, because some of the things that were said about athletes, Gabby Thomas, there are so many athletes that came under fire from Track Spice. But yes, that is that. And with that, we take our final break right here on Sports Talk. We'll be right back.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
We're in the hurricane season and the hottest time of the year. But no worries, Lanco has you covered. By the way, you covered with Lanco Cool Guard or Urethanizer roof coating yet? Use Lanco roof coatings to waterproof your roof and also benefit from a cooler home with our advanced Thermoflex technology. Get 10 to 20% discount on Lanco Urethanizer and Cool Guard roof coating island-wide this hurricane season. Lanco, your waterproofing expert.
Are you interested in what happens in the world of sports? Do you want to hear from athletes and coaches as they talk about their perspectives? Join me, Kathya, right here on the family station Love 101 FM for Sports Talk every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. That's Sports Talk 1 to 2 p.m. right here on the family station Love 101.
Every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. on Love 101, you're invited to listen to The Revival of Truth with Bishop Augustine Odie. There is life beyond the surface, life that is divine, life that is eternal, and you can hear the truth of God's Word and go deeper in purpose. Revival of Truth with Bishop Augustine Odie, Sundays 2:30 to 3 p.m. on the family station Love 101.
All right, welcome back to the final segment here on Sports Talk on the family station Love 101 FM, and we continue with track and field. Now, we would have had some Jamaican winners on the European circuit. I said this at the top of the show. So let's see how they would have performed. Javon Powell, he clocked. Right. So, of course, Javon Powell looking to get the qualification standard time for Tokyo, Japan. Even though he broke the meet record, it was still not a good time. I think he's still looking to get his time in. For that. So let's just start. The world championship qualifying mark is 44.85. Delano Kennedy ran 45.82. Which, and he's still to run his season best in 45.67. And of course, Javon Powell ran 45.43. So still outside of the mark that needs to be attained. Raheem Ford, who was fourth at the Jamaica National Championship, he equaled the season's best of 9.98 seconds, whilst Candice McLeod, she finished sixth in the women's 400 meter, running 52.98 seconds. So, I mean, it's still there, about there. If you are running the fast times now, I see it very difficult for you to kind of round into shape in another month and a few days. Yeah, that's gonna be very tight as far as I can see. Then we saw the J3s coming out, and before I say this is always a big issue in when we're going to train, when is going to be the training camp, who participates, who get exemption. I don't know. It's always a thing for the J3s, for the Jamaican athletes, for the Jamaican camps, for the Jamaican clubs, how we go about this training thing. Anyways, so the J3 have said though that they are setting up a training camp in Japan ahead of the World Championships. And of course, Ian Forbes, who's the vice president of the Jamaica Athletics Administration Association, saying that the camp will be held in Turi from September 1 to September 10, ahead of the championships from September 13 to 21. And he's saying, based on his checks, he is confident that the top athletes, if not all, will be available for the camp, which would be good because we still need to practice our relays. So yes. So again, we've had a lot of issues in terms of camps, and would have seen what would have happened last year in Tokyo. So I'm really hoping that we actually get it together. So because the camp is not just about who's training or what it's also about building the team so that when we got there we are one Jamaica. I mean, when the athletes put on those jerseys, we are one Jamaica. I can't see why this issue about camp and about who camp, where to camp, that to camp, no to camp. It's at this point, everybody just needs to be like, okay, this is a camp, this is a mandatory camp, and we just get to it. And also, in track and field, we saw earlier this week where Ashanti Moore ran 10.94 seconds in Serbia in a meet at Belgrade. I mean, 10.94 is a really good time. However, when you saw the USA Championships, and the times that were run there, 10.65 by Melissa Jefferson, I think it would be good. It's good for us in terms of having an option for the 4x1, but it's also good for Ashanti because it means that if she's running 10.94 in the event that she is not her better event, because I think the 200 meters Ashanti's better event, it means that over 200 meters she will get faster. Will she get into the finals on the podium at the World Championships? That is yet to be seen, but 10.94 anywhere is a good time. Plus, as I said from last week in the US trials, I need to all these fast times that I see running in Oregon. Yeah, man, I need to see you do it somewhere else first before I can say you are the real deal. And it's just what Oregon is known for. I'm not saying that Melissa Jefferson and all these other athletes, Kayla White and everybody else, they're not able to produce the times. But we know that Oregon is a fast track. There's no doubt about that. And Melissa Jefferson and the others have not run fast outside of the US as yet. That is also a fact. So, it's nothing to be expecting them to be running fast times in the US, and then when they come outside of the US after traveling and all of that, we don't see them performing as they ought to. And as I said, the Tokyo Championships comes up between September 13 and 21. Should be a very, very interesting championships, as one of the superstars of the sport. I think she's gonna be walking away from the championships or this set of championship come September. It'll be very interesting to see how the likes of Sherika Jackson. I haven't really seen much of Sherika. Of course, I know that the Diamond League is coming up on next Friday or next Saturday. Next Saturday, we'll have another Diamond League. So we will see some of our top athletes back in action, and we will see how they will go about that. All right, skipping quickly now to netball. The Suncorp Super League would have ended, as I would have said, the Janelle Fowler and Shanice Beckford team, they would have lost to 1 point in the finals, but that's not the big news. The big news is that the Fever, I think that's the name of the side, they have not renewed Shanice Beckford's contract, which is crazy to me. But again, it comes down to the business of sports. I mean, I think Shanice played fantastic. She has been in the first team for the last 2 seasons. And for them to be like, yeah, we're going to find somebody else or we're going to get somebody else, it's kind of, but I know Shanice has played well. And I am positive that another team will be willing to take Shanice. Yes, will be very, very willing to take Shanice, and because I mean she's just a fantastic goal attack. And she plays very good in that goal attack position. How she supports all of that. So I am not worried that she will get another contract with another team. And of course, we saw earlier this week as well. Just going through some highlights where former footballer Baby Gardner, he was nominated for or has been selected for a national honor. It's always good to see people in sports getting on the on that list, because it's an exclusive list. Let's just say not everybody get a chance to receive a national honor in their country, and for that to happen, I mean, years after, because for us, or for some of us, we think it should have happened a long time ago, but to see that happening now, it's just really good. Yes. So we're also seeing, also on the honors list will be Johan Blake and Rovman Powell. I mean, I don't have to say much about those two. Rovman as it relates to cricket, Johan as it relates to track and field. I think, again, especially for Johan, this is a little bit late, in my opinion. I think he should have received this honor already, but you know how these things go. But better late than never, and he will be getting his recognition. And not only that, because I mean, outside of track and field, Johan would have done some philanthropic work as well. So, I mean, he's definitely giving back to the sport in other ways. Rovman Powell, we know he would have just, in terms of ended his thing as West Indies, or the West Indies T20 captaincy would have been taken from him, or reassigned. Let me say that. But that doesn't mean that he was not a fantastic captain, and he was a fantastic captain in the time that he was captaining the team. You already know how I feel about that. Because you already know how I feel about the current captain and the form. Talking about that, West Indies, they lost their first one day against Pakistan. Surprise, surprise. It's a 3-match series. Let's see. They lost the T20 series. They've lost the first series in the one day. Yeah, it's that. But it's about that time now where I say goodbye until next week. Continue to listening to the family station. We do this every Saturday between the hours of 1 to 2 p.m. right here on the family station of 101 FM. Of course, we talk about sports, and all sports between 1 and 2. So you want to stay tuned for that. Until then, see you next week. Have a good Saturday. Karima Sungom.